Hello! So this probably won't surprise you very much, but you can easily break the world as you know it while in Kitakami in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's many examples of players clipping out of bounds, and we've seen it since the games have come out. I mean, that's part of the features. Hell, we know the games to be quite buggy and glitchy at times, and it can turn out to be hilarious in many instances, and it oftentimes is. It is baffling at others, but also usually pretty cool to see happen if you're able to pull it off. I like doing that. So I want to have you be able to do this too. Here's just another example of that chaotic mess that Scarlet and Violet brings, this time special DLC version. And I want to show you where you can do this if you'd like your game to be extremely weird for a little bit. I saw this from a Japanese YouTuber, nozomi no mi so shiru sekai. I'll link the video as well, but it's in Japanese, and so I want to share my experience doing this in English. This is going to take place in the peaceful region of Kitakami. It's peaceful now that the 3 loyal lugs have been caught, and this out-of-bounds adventure will be taking place initially where you fight Pheasantipity the Beautiful on Oni Mountain. I know this whole map is basically Oni Mountain already, but it's specifically here by the chilling waterhead. It's like this little cave tube passage entrance thing. So you'll enter the cave. It's within this, and this is the spot we'll be experimenting with. I know it's kind of hard to see because right now you're only seeing rock and graphics, but I'm sure you're going to memorize this spot as we go through. You'll need to be riding Koraidon or Miraidon, and we're going to mess around with the wall to clip through it. I spent some time trying to piece together the exact spot, and I'll show you what I experienced. There's almost a small indent on the mountain wall that isn't completely solid. It's as if you're messing around under there, and under the right conditions, you might slip through onto the other side and likely begin to fall. That's what happened to me quite often. I'd find that specific section in the wall. You can see oftentimes that, if you know you're hitting it when there's like some bugginess happening or weird stuff that kind of is clipping in and out, it's definitely a spot of weird behavior going on. This is where the chaos happens. I wasn't able to control it much aside from bringing Koraidon out and toggling with the ride settings between just falling and flying, but even when you're falling, you're able to see parts of the game that you aren't normally supposed to see. Your character alone falls pretty fast, so I recommend actually activating Koraidon in the air so that you can fly a little slower and really take in those Kitakami sights. Those are the rare tourist sites no other person in Kitakami has access to. Not even the locals. It takes some trial and error, as well as just some patience perhaps to try different movements to get this to work, but eventually you'll have it down pretty quickly if you do it a number of times. You're probably already used to seeing Koraidon Miraidon clipping into bits of the wall of any climbing space really, as well as just weirdness. Not just the chilling water area cave in Kitakami. The basic action I was initially doing was just to shoot at the other side with the character and Koraidon just free falling. As previously mentioned, I tried toggling between falling and flying, but it usually came down to a slower or faster descent. It was difficult to try and get to Koraidon to actually latch onto something or to fall onto solid ground, because there isn't much there. Still, you're able to see some breathtaking views. As I mentioned, if you stick to this specific spot, you'll likely be able to consistently fall through and get to soar out of bounds in the area to get a look around for a short while. You might know you're in the right spot if you see your character hopping off Koraidon once you hit that spot a certain way, or one time, my character just free falling in that spot, or Koraidon doing that. Once you slide into it or hop into that area while riding Koraidon, you see yourself pop right through. At one point, however, I managed to get stuck in that exact spot. Koraidon ended up free falling in place, but at least that's an easy marker to see the vulnerable spot we're aiming towards. Once you go through it, you'll be in for a descent. Although it's easy enough to clip through and start a free fall to get a look around, it took a bit more practice to be able to get Koraidon to land somewhere on or latch onto something so that we could actually explore. The view of Oni Mountain splintered into different bits here and there, as well as the fauna, is breathtaking for sure, but we usually end up in the green mossy zone before falling through that, and then into the blue sky before everything fades to black and we get returned to our spot in the mountain cave to try again. It wasn't always possible thanks to invisible walls sometimes being up, but there were instances where I was able to get into flight at the right moment and have everything in line where I was able to land on the grass and stuff with Koraidon. And as the world of Kitakami remained in this weird out-of-bounds and splintered state. And there were even wild Pokemon still spawning. I got to see a flock of wild bombardier in the area, near the falling waterfall that had some bits now missing. Then there was a moment in time where we were able to run and even run through water, but still able to manage land, staying on land, and we got a crazy view of Oni Mountain, to where the mountain looks like it could have been melting. That's one thing I love about these out-of-bounds adventures, is being able to see these crazy graphics of locations and how they can appear under different circumstances. After that initial sightseeing, though, the next mission presented itself, being able to climb through the wall without free-falling, but to rather have Koraidon latch onto the wall so that you're able to push out of it and able to still stay. This took a great amount of practice to do, but eventually we got there. I think the best way to explain doing it would be to latch onto the protruding rock right near it, and then try sliding or clipping through with one hop, just barely hitting that vulnerable area. It was difficult since the area we were trying to hit felt pretty small, since we wanted to be able to continue holding on to it and have the camera change angles. It was easy to hit that area and begin falling, but it was another thing to hit that area and remain latched on it while getting out of bounds. But it's indeed possible. You might actually have better luck than I did with this if you're trying it yourself. It's possible, and you'll be rewarded with this incredible sight of being able to really see this cave look like a mere tube. You can even see the wild Pokemon from within the cave still walking around in there, and there's such a stark difference from seeing them beforehand while experimenting with this and getting a super close-up battle with Swinub. That's memorable, but, this is cool too. Once latched onto that side of the tube cave, you're then able to hop off it and launch away from it. This allows for an easy jump for Koraidon to then make it onto more of Oni Mountain, this time just a part that's right there and easily climbable. And it's indeed very climbable. We started to ascend Oni Mountain once more and got to take in a more splintered but still breathtaking view of the fabled Oni Mountain of Kitakami. The sun was going down, and the sunset was the perfect backdrop to this odd adventure. Bits and pieces of Oni Mountain appeared on the screen, and a lot of it was climbable. It wasn't an issue to have Koraidon hop around and explore as we traversed either. Although the last time we hit land eventually came to an end and things snapped back into place. It took longer for the ascent to Oni Mountain to get everything back in order. My favorite sight though was seeing more wild Pokemon off in the distance, still spawning and having a good time. I mean, there was a cute rock riff up there just walking along, and we got to see it from an angle not normally seen. I also got the chance to see the original site of where we began experimenting this, and you can see the cave entrance over there. Because we remained on Oni Mountain, there was a lot of ground to cover, and it felt really easy trying to traverse around the area. In fact, it was so easy that we also got to slide down and send out our Let's Go Pokemon. Florgato came running out and got to traverse a bit, and we're also able to picnic out here with the world looking chaotic like this. It doesn't matter. Everything just kind of stays like that, and we're able to enjoy a nice little picnic with the Pokemon. Nothing to see here. Then the weirdest thing, though, started happening, and it's that I didn't consider running into water. But it's there. If you run into water, you'll start to hear the music begin to get muffled before watching Koraidon splash around in nothing, and then we rise. I guess we didn't see the water at that spot, but it's technically still water, and it's bringing us upward. Sure enough, there's water at the top to view, and there's also wild water Pokemon still spawning. It's easy to fall off this water zone, as you can see, but you could have stayed on as well. You can get right back up there by riding the invisible water again and letting Koraidon rise. Happily, I'll add. He's very happy. I then tried to explore civilization while under these weird effects, so made my way over to the Festival Plaza. Unfortunately, I remained stuck inside Oni Mountain. It felt like we'd never left, and we never will, but no, eventually we popped out, everything kind of snapped back into place. The specific setup and the location is incredibly consistent for this. It's easy to return back to that spot in the mountain and simply do it all again. I eventually got it down to where that spot was incredibly obvious, and it was easy to run right inside and immediately get the character stuck because I knew right where to hit. In actions like that, I'm surprised this hasn't been fixed or really talked about, but I suppose it's just another feature of the game that this DLC has brought us. It's a new location and a new way to mess around. And yeah, we get to view Kitakami in another way entirely. I'm sure there's still a lot of the world to see like this, and there's probably also other ways to access certain areas, but this is just my initial findings. It was really interesting to see the game broken up like this, since it probably gives a good backdoor perspective on how the world's built. All in all, it was really easy to do, and I encourage you to give it a try if you'd like. I don't quite know enough to help troubleshoot, but if you know more technicalities on this sort of thing, definitely let me know if I'm missing some good information. I also never ran into consequences. If something goes weird, you simply fade into a black screen before being put right back where you were before the chaos. I just thought this was all very cool to see, and I was excited to share it. Good luck out there. Let me know your thoughts as well. Thank you above all for watching. Don't forget to like the video and help with getting positive with the algorithm. And also consider subscribing for more Pokemon content or other content in the future. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye!